thank you. We are with Edward Wilson. Thank you for being with us. And I would like you tell us a little bit about what are the main challenges for the media in this new digital environment?
Right. I think the digital environment, the critical matter here is that we are now using the technology of computers. We're using it in production, we're using it in the distribution to the home, and we're using it in TV sets. And so the challenge is that computer generations have developed very rapidly, and we're familiar with the idea that when you have had a laptop for 3 or 4 years, you need to buy a new one. And that is the new paradigm that we are in with television and radio. After a few years, I'm sorry to say, our TV sets and our radios are no longer as useful as they were, and we probably have to buy some new ones. This is the prediction I make because that's the way the trends are showing. The public are less able to go out and buy because of the financial crisis at the moment. Nevertheless, they have got used to the idea that for some products they will pay a lot of money, and what they're buying is digital products. They buy a new mobile phone, they will buy an iPad, they will buy a new laptop because they know that they have to have the latest technology. They don't think the same way about television and radio. If you have a TV set, then it should last for 12 or 15 years, in their opinion. But that will not be the way for the future. I'm sorry to say, from the perspective of the public, they will have to get used to this idea that every 6 months, every year, a new model arrives which has better features and it works faster and it has 3D and so on. And they will find a lot of advertising encouraging them to buy new TV and radio products much more often than they used to in the past.
Yeah. And how the media or the media industry face this challenge? How you maybe not can convince, but explain people the importance of this issue?
I think that the new media industry already does. I think the TV and radio people who are still thinking in terms of programs which you target only through broadcasting to the whole of your population, you know, that is a historical factor. Some programs will still attract very large audiences, but they have to be really excellent programs, and they are normally not going to be every day. And so broadcasters will have to be prepared to get their programming out through all the different methods of distribution, and things like online services, distributing through satellite cable, terrestrial, IPTV, which is being available in many people's homes now through the telephone wires. The fact is, broadcasters will have to target all of these methods and not think in terms of the old way. We are privileged to transmit to these people who are our audience.
But is there any difference between the target? I mean, all people prefer some kind of advices or gadget different from of young people, no?
Well, I think we've had some very good news just recently. Now, maybe again, it's a factor that the financial crisis that a lot of families find themselves in. They're not able to spend so much money on going out or going to the cinema and so on. And so the number of hours of television and radio that people are watching and listening has been going up. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing is, this applies equally to the young people, because they are not stopping watching TV when they've got their Facebook on their smartphone. They are doing that at the same time. They're watching the TV in the background maybe, but they still have the big picture tube and the big screen over in the room, but they're now doing a little bit of interactive stuff at the same time. And this, we think, is a very good sign, because people were predicting they would stop when they're using their smartphone, they're going on Facebook with their laptop or whatever, they would stop watching TV. But this does not seem to be the fact.
Okay. Well, in some statistical studies said or shows, young people doesn't watch TV but use internet, and that's weird that you said.
Yeah,
it occurs in different manner.
I think, well, there's a certain age range when young people are just young and they will do something fresh because it's cool. Mm-hmm. They get a little bit older and they grow into people who are very aware of the internet, very aware of devices and tricks and smartphones and so on, but also accepting that there are times when they need to just relax and watch the big screen or listen to the radio because they're fed up with selecting from their iPod tunes and they want to hear something fresh and live. So there's good signs that the pattern of behavior changes as people change their age. And just because young people maybe don't consume as much radio and television as older people do, doesn't mean that when they grow older, they won't change in their habits. We think that they will change because it's a part of life, you know, that when you are buzzing with energy, then you're always wanting to interact very directly on a personal level. When you are needing to relax, you often will sit back in the seat.
Well, that's a good concept. It's like a stage of their life. It depends on I mean, the use of media. It depends on the stage of their life. You know, maybe media, faster media uses for younger people, but when people have more time to reflect, maybe they use another media.
Mm.
No?
One of the issues that I had talked about today, a friend from the BBC, the online guy, he was saying that apparently the statistics of the use of Facebook, there is a big boom in ladies between the age of 55 and 65 at this moment. Now, try to explain that, I don't think we can. Nevertheless, that shows that it's not just a youth culture thing. The idea of Facebook can catch on with different people of different ages, and vice versa. Television and radio is very attractive, and young people can be just as convinced to watch TV and listen to the radio as to do something else with their time.
Okay. Well, another gap, another kind of gap is the gap between countries, you know?
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
that country, northern country that use new technologies and another regions. How face this
well, living in the centre of Europe in Switzerland, but coming from the UK, I do feel privileged to have a viewpoint that's quite different from people of my country or even the Swiss as such. I feel I've got a better view. And I'm also quite a traveller. I travel to lots of different places for technical meetings. And I had an opportunity to contrast Finland with Spain. It was March 2 or 3 years ago, and my meeting in Finland was about surround sound, about the cinema sound with 5.1 loudspeakers and so on. And in the meeting, which invited everybody from Europe, people north of Geneva were there, so from Germany, from Paris, from the UK, from Denmark and so on, but nobody from south of that line, if you draw the latitude. Nobody from Spain, nobody from Italy, nobody from Greece had come to the meeting. And then, this was, as I say, March, and then a few days later I flew to Murcia, and I was giving a lecture to the technical university there. And in the evening we went for a little walk around the town, and well, people were standing there, lots out on the streets, dressed in short sleeves, quite warm, and I suddenly thought, this is a very different place. In Finland had been completely cold and focused on the inside of the home and this idea of wonderful sound quality. And back in Murcia, there was not the same urgency to develop multi-channel sound because people were out in the open enjoying themselves, you know, eating late and so on. And I suddenly thought, well, yeah, you know, the fact is, if you're on the beach, you don't need multi-channel sound.
Yeah, because you have the nature.
You're enjoying nature,
Okay.
and you're enjoying the sun and so on.
Okay.
So I think we should never forget that there are good reasons why people in different countries have a diversity of view, and we should celebrate the diversity. We will never have a common approach to the whole of Europe.
Yeah, maybe we must not expect the same develop, because we are not the same country, the same people, and we have not the same culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think, for instance, the connected TV is an interesting case because the big manufacturers want to sell their products everywhere in Europe with the same product. And what has happened is that the product in Spain has got a lot of Spanish television on its portal, but in Switzerland, none at all, because that's the culture difference. In Switzerland, they decided not to encourage these devices because they saw them as a threat. But in Spain, they've been seen as something that we should accept. People are using the internet to watch TV, and now we want to be on the internet portal of Samsung or Philips, rather than not being there and losing viewers. So it's an interesting thing, and it's one of those, I say it's an opportunity to enjoy the diversity around Europe.
Yeah. Welcome the diversity.
Yes, exactly.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Nice to talk to you today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.